morning, everybody. It's another Monday. Wake up. Keith Engel here for TGI Sports Talk's Jack and Keith Weekend Playbook. With that, I welcome in my co-host, Boxing Hall of Fame writer and Michael Spink's biographer, Jack Hirsch. Good morning, Jack.
Good morning, Keith.
I'll tell you, Jack. And by the way, for anybody who's worried about me, because I had to keep going off camera to blow my nose yesterday, I am feeling much better yet today. I've had a bit of a cold the last 3 days, but we're surviving. So thank you for all the...
I wasn't aware, Keith. I hope you're feeling better. I haven't said it to you yet. I'll say it now. You look good, though, so that's why I didn't say anything.
We had a rough time a couple hours ago.
I just thought you were being a little grumpy. I didn't realize it was a cold that had you dragged down.
I was grumpy for sure, but the cold doesn't help. I'm not a great patient. I don't know about you, but I'm a horrible patient. So, listen, Jack, as it seems to be the trend, every time we go off the air on a show, a big story breaks, and we don't get a chance to talk about it for a few days. So today we're going to talk about the news that came out Friday after the show that LeBron had chosen the Sixers and not Miami and not Cleveland. And it's funny, doing my shows over the weekend, and I don't know what you've heard, but even Sixer fans are like bashing LeBron. For why, I have no idea. He gives them a great chance to win the championship next year, or a better chance. I don't understand the vitriol about LeBron. He's either trying to screw the Cavaliers, trying to screw Pat Riley, or whatever. This guy's playing for $3.8 million next year, so he can try to win another title.
Well, no. It's more of that entered into his final decision. Let's be honest about it. If all factors were equal as far as who could win the NBA championship, in LeBron's opinion, he wasn't going to Philadelphia. No way. He either would have went to Cleveland or Miami. More likely than not, Cleveland, maybe Miami, or Golden State. I think Golden State, from a social viewpoint, where he would have enjoyed playing or who he would have enjoyed playing with, I think Golden State would have been the team. But LeBron's smart. He sees Golden State as a little long in the tooth. And even though he could have some fun playing for Golden State, LeBron has seen this rodeo before with the Brooklyn Nets when they got Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce. Still very good players, but not quite in their prime. And that's what he sees at Golden State. Still a competent team who could contend maybe to a point, but they're not going to win the NBA championship. They're not coming out of the West. Even with LeBron, they're not beating San Antonio and the OKC. Nope. It's not happening. But he looked at the East, and the Jaylen Brown deal was a game changer, Keith. Jaylen Brown is an impact player. He's a star. And if Embiid stays healthy, he's an impact player. He's a star, one of the best in the NBA. It's a big if. Everything is an if. And of course, there's Tyrese Maxey, who's about to become a breakout star. And then there's BJ Edgecombe, a really great rookie last year who might be getting better and better. And they got a little depth on their bench now. It was the move to make.
I like this move a lot, but just to play devil's advocate for a second, isn't it possible that the Jaylen Brown acquisition will retard the progress of Maxey and some of these other young guys who stepped up in the playoffs last year for the Sixers big time? Don't you think maybe they take a little step back because of being overwhelmed by, first Brown, now LeBron?
Well, the Sixers aren't going to take a step back. They're not that good. They weren't that good last year. What did they win? 45 games. They went something like 45 and 37.
Well, I'm talking about Maxey specifically, and he did step up.
No, that's not going to happen as far as Maxey taking a step backward. Whether Maxey is going to become a breakout star now, a true breakout star, that's a big question. And you mentioned a good point, Keith. The potential is definitely there for the 76ers to become the most dysfunctional team in the NBA. Awesome. Because Embiid looks at himself as the best player on the team. Jaylen Brown is going to look at it like, I want to establish myself now as one of the best players in the NBA. He thinks he's that all along. He thinks he's that now. He thinks he's been that all along. but he wants to establish the attitude, I'm the guy on the Sixers. And then there's Maxey, who's ready to take that big step forward as one of the best players in the NBA. He hasn't gotten there quite. He's kind of treading water, Maxey, the last couple of years, but the potential's there. And also, LeBron and Maxey are very close. So LeBron's going to want Maxey to thrive. He's going to want Maxey to take the next step into stardom. LeBron himself is okay as long as the Sixers are winning. He doesn't have to be the man because he's going to be the man anyway as far as public perception goes. LeBron James doesn't have to be considered the best player on that team. He could be considered the fourth best player on that team behind Embiid, Brown, and Maxey. But guess who's going to get most of the attention? It's going to be LeBron James.
Sure.
The focus is going to be on him. So he's going to be fine. If LeBron going to the Sixers, if they win the NBA championship, and LeBron averages 12 points a game, 7 assists, modest numbers, guess what? People are going to say, wow, what a difference maker LeBron was. And he's going to get a ton of the credit. I mean,
he can only do that, though, if Embiid's healthy. He can only, those numbers are only
well, but that's anyway. Right? But look at LeBron's options. We agree if he went to Golden State, they weren't winning the NBA championship.
Agreed.
Minnesota was too much of a wild card. I know they got Ball and to add on to Anthony Edwards, but let's be honest, Minnesota wasn't the place to go to. Miami, you team him with Giannis Adebayo. You know, he's won a couple of championships there, so the fan base isn't going to get on him if they don't. But Miami, look what Giannis has done at Milwaukee in recent years. They got him Damian Lillard and they didn't win. I mean, it's
they're not.
I don't see where the two places, the safest place for LeBron to have gone, in my opinion, would have been San Antonio. San Antonio Spurs, because he could have taken a step back. A veteran like him, they would have respected him, and with all their young talent, they're going to win an NBA championship in all likelihood in the next couple of years. So all he had to do was ride it out with them, play point guard, dish the ball off, blend in nicely, which LeBron is a master doing.
Right.
And they would have won.
And Rick brings up, and you just made the point that LeBron will adjust his game. He has adjusted his game. He did it last year in LA, the last third of the season, until Luka was out and Reeves was out, and he had to step back up again. But he knew he was the third guy, and he knows if Embiid's healthy, if Brown's healthy, and even Maxey might be above LeBron in that hierarchy. He is.
Now Maxey's ready to take off as a true star. He just needs, this is the time.
And the other thing is, he took $3.8 million. He could have gone somewhere and gotten $20 million. He could have, maybe more, and not won. But he could have gone and got paid somewhere, and it's not about money for him. It's about winning.
No, it's about chemistry, too. He has a great relationship with Maxey. Yeah. And then he looks and he sees Embiid and Brown, and he's thinking these are two of the best players in the NBA besides Maxey and myself. And they have some other pieces besides. Where else was he going to go? You know who I thought could be a dark horse for him to go to? And I don't even know were they part of the interview process. I thought to myself, the Washington Wizards, as crazy as it sounded, because Anthony Davis is there. Him and LeBron are good buddies. They've won an NBA championship. Anthony Davis, you can argue, and really argue, if he stays healthy, he's another if, okay? But if he stays healthy, he's in his prime. He could be as good as he's ever been if he stayed healthy. Gigantic gift. And they got Trae Young. If Trae Young could blend into the concept of the team game, if LeBron could get him to do it, they have the monster, call him, gray rookie who might turn into a major star. And that could have been a real dark horse, for him.
I would agree because people might argue with the way Washington's going about it, but for years they haven't tried to win, and they're trying to win now. It's obvious with what they're doing. I don't know if I agree with the way they're doing it because these guys, while they could be really good, they're huge wild cards, both Young and Davis.
I mean, anywhere LeBron could have been. Let's say he decided to go to Dallas. Team up again with Kyrie and Cooper Flag. They do well, but the bottom line is this, Keith. LeBron wants an NBA championship. That was the main thing behind his decision. Let's be honest about it. I know that all the factors were involved, but he's not going to Philadelphia because it's a good move for his family.
Well,
and it's
you made that argument. Yeah. I said his family didn't matter. Not today when you're, whatever you're.
Well, a lot of people are saying he might live in New York and take the commute. That's a pain in the butt commute, Keith. I mean, people must think it's so easy. Just after the game, you're right back to your Park Avenue apartment in Manhattan. It's still an hour and a half or so to get back.
If he's got to live in New York and pay taxes there, he's not going to do that.
Hey, Keith, that reminds me of, we like to joke around about the honeymooner episodes. Remember Ralph was trying to convince Alice once how to get back. He said, we'll hop on the subway and be there in an hour and a half. That was a classic line. Yeah, LeBron will hop on the car, from the arena. He'll be back in New York in an hour and a half.
He'll take a helicopter.
It's a pain in the butt. He'll be back in the limo. He'll be dosing. Oh, yeah, the helicopter they mentioned.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Listen, I hate those helicopters. I hate them.
Well,
they scare me.
I'm not getting in one, so.
No, I've never gotten in one. I'm not going to get in one either.
So we talked about him wanting to win, and I agree with Danny that in the East, as big a Knicks fan as I am, the East is still going to be easier to get to the finals than the West. I think the West is going to be deeper still. Even some of the teams he didn't want to go to, like Golden State or Denver, they're still going to be Minnesota, and that's before you get to the top two teams. I think it's deeper and tougher.
I don't think this is an easy decision for LeBron. I fully believe Rich Paul that he was going back and forth till the very end. And he's probably still questioning himself a little bit, just a little bit. Did I really make the right decision? Because Miami was a tempting option to go back there, and play with Giannis. He's playing with a superstar, and Adebayo, and he's used to being at Miami. In a sense, he'd be going back home, not as much as going back home to Cleveland, but in a sense, and Cleveland itself, but how appealing was it to play like with James Harden? James Harden's another one of those players who is still good, but he's long in the tooth. Harden's not going to get you over the top playoff time.
And LeBron would not have had the impact on either one of those teams that he'll have on the Sixers.
Gabe, how things change even in the lower echelon of the NBA. I was looking at the ESPN power rankings of all the teams. Do you know the Nets rate ahead of the LA Clippers now? I mean, when you think LA was supposed to be a title contender a year or two ago. Man, oh man.
I gotta find this story because you brought up the Nets. There was a story in a post today about Jalen Brunson and his girlfriend or his wife, right? Just getting into a nightclub, just walking in, and one of the Nets stars being stuck in line by security. They wouldn't let him in. I wish I could find it quick. I don't think I can.
Yeah, well, they'll all know who Jalen Brunson is.
I just want to throw that at you as a Net fan. That's all. The Nets are still so.
LeBron, unfortunately, his timing was off. Can you imagine he was a free agent a year ago, and he went to the Knicks last year, and they won the NBA championship with LeBron on the team? Even though he wouldn't have been we assume he wouldn't have been the star, that would have been okay. LeBron could have had just a nice role on the team. He didn't have to be the star. That would have been Jalen Brunson still. But LeBron, just the idea they won, LeBron would have been looked at as the mentor, the stability behind it all.
And I know you know this, but we can't assume if LeBron came to New York that they would have won the championship this year.
They would have won it.
Because
come on, Keith.
That
LeBron
team
doesn't hurt teams. Give me a break. Come on.
Well, that team won because of a couple of reasons. One of the biggest reasons was the chemistry on this team was remarkable.
The chemistry would have been great with LeBron. It always has been that way. Come on.
It wouldn't have been the same, is my point. It wouldn't have been the same. I'm not saying it'd been worse. I'm
Well,
saying
listen. He would have been in the lineup instead of Mikal Bridges, for example. He would have taken a lot of those minutes, so they wouldn't have been well. Anobi would have had the same role, Brunson the same role. It wouldn't have hurt. Believe me, it wouldn't have hurt at all.
When it comes to that chemistry, though, that's why I still give the edge over the Knicks over the Sixers, because it's going to take a while for them to develop.
The Knicks went on a roll last year. It was a magical ride. It was a 1 year thing. The Knicks don't all of a sudden have this great chemistry as a team that they're going to have year after year. It doesn't work that way, Keith. Every time a team wins an NBA championship, we think they have this great chemistry. And then we say, well, to be the champ, you have to beat the champs. It's a rental. The NBA championship is a rental.
Yeah.
Rental. All championships are rental unless you have a dynasty type team like the Dodgers. That's not a rental. That's not a rental. They're like a powerhouse.
Now you're kissing up to Danny. Listen, it took you less
No,
than...
it's true. The Dodgers can be beat this year. I don't think they will.
I don't
but
think
they
so.
can.
Listen, let me just tell you this. It took you barely a month to jump off the bandwagon. That's like record time.
No, I'm not. Listen, I'm a Nets fan who likes the Knicks a heck of a lot. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, listen, there's a difference involved. I'm a Yankee fan, but I can never wear Mets, cap and shirt. The only time I could do it, Keith, if they win the World Series and I was told only wear it that 1 week to show support, I can do that for 1 week. Same thing, I'm a Jet fan. I can wear the Giant cap, shirt to show support if they win the Super Bowl for that week. For the couple of weeks leading up to the game.
You're a different fan than me.
I can wear a Knicks cap and T-shirt, all the time. I mean, I'm a Nets fan. I prefer to wear the Nets, but I'm not anti-Knicks. There's no rivalry there with the Knicks and the Nets. Fans aren't debating. There's a difference. Yankee fans don't like Mets fans. Mets fans don't like Yankee fans. Jets and Giants are in a way the same thing. But come on.
Listen, if the Yankees are no good, I'm not wearing a Met hat ever. I'm not wearing a Red Sox hat ever.
No. For the 1 week.
I'm not wearing any other hat ever.
To support the city. The city for that week. Listen, if the Jets ever went to the Super Bowl or the Yankees in the World Series, I want the Mets fans to root for the Yankees for that week or two. And then when it's done, new season's beginning, get ready for next year, go back, with your team, whatever. There's no rules. Rick, you're a Viking fan. You have to go all the way to Minnesota. I mean, come on. Talk about a guy who's ducked out of loyalty. Come on, Rick. Minnesota. I'm staying within my city. Come on, going to Minnesota. They're not even that. They can't even decide on the quarterback there like Hemming and Hawing.
You don't have to be a fan of a team in your region. As long as you pick a team when you're a kid and stick with it forever.
I got to think it's Minnesota. Are they the most dysfunctional sports city? Look at their teams. They're dysfunctional in the NBA with Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert. They're dysfunctional. Let's be honest. They're dysfunctional. And baseball, the Twins are always dysfunctional. They always flirt with a playoff position, never make a real run at it. And in the football, they're dysfunctional, right now. They can't just name Kyler Murray the starting quarterback. They're being loyal to J.J. McCarthy, who wasn't that great a prospect coming out of college, but they thought he was, but he really wasn't. He hasn't shown us much in the NFL. Not that he can't play.
Much. He's been hurt.
But he's not that good. I'm not saying he can't have some good games now and then, but he's not that good.
No rules. Listen, I don't know how we got in Minnesota. Oh, I know how we got there. But
Yeah.
Well, they'll win someday. I don't know. But I like J.J. McCarthy. I'm still a fan. I think not every quarterback can play the minute he gets in the league. Not every
No,
guy.
what I'm saying, just give the job to Kyler Murray. Case closed. He's the Vikings starter. JJ is the backup. And you tell JJ, if you're the coach, look, for 2 years, you haven't been able to stay on the field. And we're not blaming you. Injuries happen. We understand. Okay? Your time will eventually come. And in this league, you might be called to play at the snap of a finger. We expect you to be ready to practice hard. You have a future in this league. I would encourage him that way. You set up any quarterback competition, Keith. You know what that usually means. You set a guy up for failure. Now, the Vikings know. Listen, they know Kyler Murray's going to be their starter. Kevin O'Connell is planning on Kyler Murray to be the starter. The only way Kyler Murray isn't the starter if he implodes completely, if he's terrible in training camp, or if he gets injured. That's the only way, okay? That's the only way. But so what are you setting up J.J. McCarthy to tell him you lost the quarterback battle? I mean, come on. That's just diminishing him more.
We live in a country that thrives on competition. There's nothing wrong with competition, ever. Never. At least in the world I lived in, competition was part of your everyday.
Rick has been a fan for 56 years. Rick, who should be the starting quarterback for the Vikings? I'd rather have that.
I'll bet you he says Kyler Murray. You're right. I bet you he says Kyler Murray because he's not a big J.J. McCarthy fan either. I am. I think he can still play.
Oh, yeah, okay, but listen, Kyler Murray should start. JJ's the backup.
Right
and
now,
if Kyler Murray is struggling during the season, it's fine that you go to J.J. McCarthy. Let him then take over as the starter. I'm good with all that. Yeah, we all agree.
What's wrong
you
with
you want wait. See, you want J.J. McCarthy to start, Keith.
No, I don't. I want him to compete for the job. That's what I want.
Okay, so what happens? What happens? They give the job to Kyler Murray. How's J.J. McCarthy supposed to feel when he loses out on the job? What is that going to do for his confidence and self-esteem? Or his teammates having confidence in him?
Like he's an adult and you go and work on your game and you get better. That's what happens. That's how life is, including
like we have the idiotic move made by Urban Meyer. Why he's not coaching in the league anymore. Trevor Lawrence is the number 1 overall pick in the draft, and he has him competing with Gardner Minshew for the starting position. Now, there's a difference involved if you happen to what they're doing with the Raiders, when Mendoza's going to sit behind Cousins. That's well established. They're doing it the right way. They're doing it the right way, the Raiders. Mendoza is not going to be diminished by being the backup because he's not losing a quarterback competition. They're not telling him, oh, you're competing. Sorry, kid, you lost out to Cousins. That's not good. That hurts the player's confidence a little, but more importantly, it hurts the confidence in the team and him. But so what happened? The number 1 overall pick in the draft, Trevor Lawrence, is going to lose a quarterback competition to a career backup in Gardner Minshew. What does that tell you?
Listen,
you keep J.J. McCarthy. I didn't say get rid of him. Keep him, just stop Murray, and if it doesn't work out, you go to JJ.
I'm going to tell you something. If J.J. McCarthy were to compete for this job and lose it and go sulk on the bench and be mentally destroyed, then he's not strong enough to be my starting quarterback.
He's not going to sulk on the bench.
You just said it would wreck him. You just said it would wreck him.
No, it diminishes him. It diminishes any player who loses a competition is diminished because it means he's been defeated. He's been defeated.
You pick yourself up and you figure out why you got defeated and you fix that and make yourself better. I earned everything I never was given anything. Nobody should be given anything in life. You should earn everything.
There's certain different, sometimes that's an exception to the rule. And if Shedeur Sanders loses the quarterback competition to Deshaun Watson, it's not going to diminish him that much, only because of where he's come from. Last year, there was a point where he was the fourth quarterback on the depth chart, and it looked like he was only on the team because the owner, Jimmy Haslett, forced the situation. And so now, worst case scenario, he's the primary backup. So it's a promotion. He's ahead of where he was last year, any way you look at it. So Doss Sanders could say, okay, Deshaun Watson's experience, he's been in the league. At one point, he was one of the best QBs. I'm the primary backup. I'm young. I'm in my second year. My time's going to come. In that case, I get it.
I'm glad
I get it. And Deshaun Watson has only 1 year left on his contract. And because the Browns are paying him such big money, you don't want a guy sitting who's one of the highest paid QBs in the league unless you could help it.
Yeah, I'm just glad you're not the team psychologist for my team. That's all I can say. I want guys who want to compete, want to earn their jobs. That's what I want, not be given them. Anyway, let's stick with the NFL.
Oh, okay, tell Josh, draft a rookie and have him compete with Josh Allen. Come on.
What? That's not
what that would be insulting.
Josh Allen had earned his status. That's my point. He'd earned his status not to compete for his job. Come on. Hey, don't be twisting my words.
Well,
that's not in the spirit of what we're talking about. You know that. Come on. But listen, we're here in the NFL talk about quarterbacks. Let's talk about Jacoby Brissett, who was going to be maybe the lowest paid quarterback since 1980 at $1.5 million. He gets himself a significant raise of what, $14 million? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it's a 1 year deal, though. 1 year deal. He's going to have guaranteed money. That's interesting because the Cardinals, as you know, drafted Carson Beck with the first pick in the third round. And that's value because you could get a decent player for that. I think that's a good pick to take a chance on Beck. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But Carson Beck might be a quality NFL quarterback. I'm high on Carson Beck. I'm not super high on him. Don't get me wrong. I think Carson Beck can definitely be a decent NFL quarterback. I didn't say one of the best. So don't twist my words the way you tend to sometimes do, Keith.
That's your job. Do that.
Because Carson Beck has shown you enough flashes in college that he could be outstanding at times, but he's also shown you flashes he could be terrible as well. So it's a question, can he develop consistency? That's the whole thing about it. And
I watched pretty much every down Carson Beck played last year. I know Rick had seen him a lot at Georgia as a Georgia fan. I'm going to tell you, the ceiling for Carson Beck in my mind is Jay Cutler because he's up and down like crazy. And
not bad, but that's not bad. That's not bad.
Not if you want to finish 8-8 every year. I mean, that's great.
No. But the thing is this: Carson Beck strikes me as a little bit of a different type of rookie in that I think he's mature enough to start playing immediately. How good he'll be, that's another issue. I just feel Carson Beck will be ready to step in. And you got Jacoby Brissett. I don't mind the competition for that, for the simple reason that Beck wasn't a first-round draft choice. He was a third-round draft choice. Third-round draft choices as quarterbacks, there's no feeling that they're the future of the team necessarily. There's a question mark hanging over them. So if he lost the quarterback competition to Brissett, fine. He's the primary backup as a third-round selection. You'll get your chance down the line. And as far as Jacoby Brissett goes, if he lost the quarterback competition, who cares? Jacoby Brissett's been kicked around more times than a soccer ball. Come on. He's gone team to team. He's had opportunities to start on other teams. He seems like a decent guy, not a bad quarterback. He's won games like with Cleveland. He was given the Indianapolis Colts starting job, didn't hold on to New England job. He's been around, and he's been around the block a lot. He's a great guy to have on your team as a backup / bridge quarterback, but that's about it.
Yeah, well, I don't understand why it's okay for Carson Palmer to compete and lose, but not J.J. McCarthy. Neither one of them's earned anything.
Well, how are we getting J.J. McCarthy?
You said it's
Carson
okay
Palmer.
because you said it's not
Carson Beck. Carson Beck.
What'd I say? Oh, Carson Palmer. Sorry,
Carson Palmer. Yeah, I kind of wonder.
Sorry, I had a brain fart there.
Yeah.
Carson, you said it's okay for Carson Beck to compete, and if he loses a job, it
It's
doesn't hurt
different.
him.
I'll tell you. I explained it. Wait, J.J. McCarthy
His third
was
year in the
the
league.
10th overall pick in the draft by the Vikings. And for the Vikings to make him that pick, they gave up additional draft compensation to flip-flop with the Jets. They gave up an additional third-round pick. Now, Carson Beck, was he drafted in the first round by Arizona? No. Was he drafted in the second round by Arizona? No. He lasted until the third round.
Well, there's no confidence in his
There's
job.
a difference between a third round selection and someone who went 10th overall by a team moving up to get him.
Wow.
Those guys who are drafted in the first round automatically become a future of the team. They're counted on to be given their opportunity, at some point without question. A third round selection, you could flop. It's value. Don't get me wrong. It's value, but you can miss. You can miss on that.
I could go on and on about guys who were given the job that you just said because they were picked in the first 10 or first 15 and they failed.
Of course. Of course.
Then listen, you should compete. They should have to earn their job.
Jackson Dart's first round selection with the Giants. We knew as soon as they drafted him in the first round, he was going to be their future starting quarterback. We knew that. Carson Beck, we don't know that with Arizona. All we know about Carson Beck, he's going to be given an opportunity to compete for the job at some point. We know that. There's a difference between competing and being given the job. Jackson Dart, you knew was going to be given the job. Okay? I mean, look, your guy at New England, we knew he's going to be given the job. Jason Daniels, we knew he's been given the job.
He wasn't given the job. Jacoby Brissett started the first 7 games of the year.
I know, but we knew who was going to ultimately be the quarterback. We knew Brissett was a fill-in for the time being. We at New England, we knew Brissett wasn't going to be the long-term quarterback there.
Drake May would not have wilted if he competed.
If Brissett played well, okay, all he would be able to do was hold off Drake May for a while. If it was Brissett who took the Patriots to the Super Bowl last year, hypothetically, he would be the starter again this year. But as soon as he slipped up, things, Drake May would be in there. That's just the way it works. But for third-round draft picks, no, it doesn't work that way.
Everybody should compete for their job. Everybody.
Every QB you're saying.
Yes, why not? Why should anybody earn
Sam Darnold compete for the starting job with Seattle?
Not this year, but in past years, yes, he should have been competing all the time. There are times you earn a pass. Until you've earned that pass, you should be competing for your job. Yes. Josh Allen had to compete for his job at some point.
Should Daniel Jones be competing for the starting job at Indianapolis?
No, because there's no competition.
What the heck has he done in his, 7 years in the NFL?
He had a pretty good run last year before he got hurt.
But he got hurt. He wasn't there, though.
But he had done enough to earn the job. First of all, there's no competition there. Who's going to compete with him?
Well, you create competition. Then what could I tell you?
Well, you got to get a quarterback to compete with him if that's going to be the case.
But that's how it is in most teams. You don't have the type of competition where there's doubt who should have the job.
Daniel Jones was a 6th pick in the draft. He should have competed for his job in New York.
Well, when you're 6th overall pick in the draft, everyone knows you're the team's future quarterback.
Cheerleader players. Well, Chris sometimes it's a player's fault, but often these guys are rushed. I don't disagree. Quarterbacks, pitchers, Todd Van Poppel, great example of guys who were brought fast.
Look at the 49ers. Brock Purdy just started. Mac Jones is their backup. Mac Jones played well in the role of the backup, didn't he? Should these guys be competing in training camp? They know Brock Purdy's their guy.
You know, that's a better example than anyone you've brought up, actually. That's a great example. I might let those guys compete. I might. Why not?
You couldn't wait for New England to get rid of Mac Jones.
Well, he played well after he
and
got out.
now the 49ers, who are supposedly Super Bowl contenders, you want the QBs to compete. Oh, with that said, we wish a speedy recovery to Kyle Shanahan. He was in this automobile accident that really, suffered a number of injuries.
Yeah, very. I mean, the injuries sound really bad. But did you read the Post headline that said he suffered horrific injuries? I thought he lost a couple of limbs before I went and read the article. I mean, it's not good. He he had a broken nose and broken ribs and something else. But it sounded like he was like fighting for his life. You know what's weird though, too, Jack? How come we didn't know about this accident for like 12 days? 11 days?
Wow.
It's kind of weird. I mean, I don't think there's anything there.
I know supposedly he's on the sidelines now, but maybe not moving around. I mean, we wish, yeah.
He had this accident on the 14th of July. It's kind of weird that we just found out about it 2 days ago. But I don't know what to make of that, if anything. And we found out about Tony Romo like 6 hours after he got a DWI. So.
No. I know it's strange. It took a while to come out. But what can I say?
What else in the NFL? You know what? How about Aaron Donald? Do we think Aaron Donald's going to come back? He's working out with the team. He hasn't announced he's back, but is Aaron Donald going to play with the Rams?
I mean, there are a couple of factors involved. Let's say, hypothetically, he's still good. How much money can he make? Aaron Donald is used to being paid like one of the highest, defensive ends in the NFL.
Yeah, they can't have much money.
He's not going to get anywhere near that type of money. Is Aaron Donald willing to play for, let's say, $10 million a year as opposed to $35, $40 million? I mean, that's question number one. And why is he coming back? Is he coming back because he loves the game? He misses it? Is it a financial thing? Yeah, and how did the Rams tell him it's maybe best you don't come back? How much do you think he has left? A veteran player like that, he retires, you off a year.
How old is he?
The odds are he's lost some of his explosiveness. But we can argue this, Keith. What's left to Aaron Donald? He might just be an average player now, but good enough to have a roster spot. I just don't know where this goes. I mean, but as a courtesy to your great players, you give them a tryout. You look at them like I like to joke around. I think I joked around in the past show. If Mariano Rivera is throwing in his backyard a lot and keeping in shape, all of a sudden he gets the urge to play. He calls up Brian Cashman, and Aaron Boone. They'll feel, Mariano, you've been off too long. You can't play anymore. But as a courtesy to him, they will let him come to spring training. They will allow the spectacle to take place. They'll allow him to throw. But they say, Mariano, we don't know. You know what else they might do for him? They might let him pitch a couple of games at a low minor league level to just prove to him you can't do it anymore. Or in the unlikely event he could perform. Okay, you perform lower level, we'll move you up one level. Just as a courtesy to superstar players, franchises will do that.
Has Darnold's been out he missed one season? Is that right, or two?
I think it was one season.
One season. He's 35 years old. Danny says, why not give him a chance to play a couple downs a series?
Yeah, I mean, give him a chance if he wants it. If he wants to come to camp, you see it. But you're not going to know how much he has left until it's a game. Because in practice, the guy blocking him, you don't know how much they're going to put into keeping him off. And practice at times can be deceiving.
Well, I think preseason games, don't you? Because you don't want to wait till the
Yeah.
regular season starts.
And they don't want to, and it's an awkward situation. If you're the Rams, Danny, do you want to cut Aaron Donald? Keith was talking about competing. You let him compete for a roster spot. Let's say you could settle on the money no matter what. The money's not going to be an issue. Let's say they feel someone else is slightly better, slightly. Guess what? The Rams are going to keep Aaron Donald because he's a Ram legend.
Yeah.
So they're going to put it, they'll cut the guy who's slightly better than him. Someone's got to be clearly better than Aaron Donald for them to move on from Aaron Donald because he's too much of a legend, with the Rams. So he kind of has a little bit of a gold card. Keith, he can get into any show he wants without paying with his gold card, but maybe you don't give him the best seat anymore.
Maybe. Oh, what's Chris got? Thank you.
I saw that. I'm glad that, that's wow. This is awesome post. I'm going to tell you why, Keith. I kid you not. Before I gave the Rivera example, I was thinking of the Bernie Williams example. Okay, but what happened with Bernie Williams? The Yankees offered him a low amount of money, $1.5 million, which was quite a come down from his, $11 million or so he's getting at the time. And the problem with Bernie Williams was Joe Torre loved Bernie Williams. He still wanted him around. Brian Cashman wasn't as enthusiastic about Bernie Williams still being with the Yankees because he thought he was an older player, kind of losing it. But as a courtesy to Bernie Williams, they kind of went halfway, with giving him a little bit of an opportunity.
Bernie never got the respect he deserved in New York ever. I mean, George wanted to
Bernie put up. Wait. I'm sorry, I'm cutting in on you, Keith, but I didn't read the post as carefully as I should have. One more. They did give him. He could have had that one more season.
He could have.
What had happened with Bernie? He didn't elect to hang around at the very end. And then the Yankees actually had some injuries where Bernie would have been given a little bit of a chance. But Bernie, at the end of his career, he was losing it, in all fairness.
He was. And Bernie was a great player. The Yankees never really appreciated what they had in Bernie, I don't think, ever. They almost let him walk as a free agent. The Red Sox were ready to sign him. George wanted to trade him forever when he was a kid, always. He thought he'd never amount to anything until he did. And even then, I think he begrudgingly kept him around. Bernie was a great player.
We had the Hall of Fame inductions in baseball yesterday.
Yeah.
And things have changed with Hall of Famers. Like, we see the name Bernie Williams. His name, I think, was on the ballot. He's never quite going to get in. He had something like 2,600 and plus hits during his career. Had he gotten up to 3,000, had a couple of more really good seasons, maybe Bernie gets in, but it's no longer, and I kind of accept it now. It's not, the Hall of Fame no longer is a hall for the immortals, the true superstars of any sport. It's now the hall of the very good. If you've been very good for a lot of years, that could get you in the Hall of Fame. But I'm also thinking of criteria, Keith. Even though I never thought of him as a Hall of Famer, all of a sudden I'm thinking of Keith Hernandez, and I'm going to tell you why. Let me tell you why. If I said to you, Keith, who was the greatest defensive first baseman in the history of baseball, most people, I think, would vote for Keith Hernandez.
I would begrudgingly do that, but not far ahead of Don Mattingly.
Exactly. Him and Mattingly were practically a wash defensively. Yeah. I agree with that completely.
Hernandez can't go in unless Mattingly goes in.
No. Well, Hernandez played a little longer, and if you look at Keith Hernandez too, he hit. It wasn't like It wasn't like Jerry Grody, one of the great defensive catchers of all time with the Mets, who didn't really hit in the day. Now his numbers look okay, but that's revisionist thinking. But at the time, Grody, it was considered a weak hitting catcher. Now he'd be okay. But 11 Golden Gloves for Hernandez? Come on.
Tremendous. Well, Andrew
Nine
Jones.
for Mattingly. Yeah, I agree.
Andrew Jones is in because of his glove. Basically, yesterday he gets in, and I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. Andrew Jones. So
and
defense
Andrew
needs to be.
Jones, 10 Golden Gloves, 434 homers. Yeah, but and I'm not sure Andrew Jones. I don't think of him as a Hall of Famer, but he's in because of body of work. You know what he did.
The Gold Gloves defense. You just made a case for Hernandez because of his glove.
Yeah, I'm fine, but that's what I mean. If you're gonna put Keith Hernandez in, then I'd say okay, put Andrew Jones in. You put Andrew Jones in, I feel it's okay putting Hernandez in now. You put Carlos Beltran in. Beltran isn't. How do I explain it? When I think of the Hall of Fame immortals, I think of great players. I think of Mike Trout. I think of Aaron Judge. I think of Ken Griffey Jr., Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Mickey Mantle. I put Judge in that company. I could say Judge is better than all of them when he's at his best. I mean, so I don't want to hear any flack about that.
You know, Danny's talking about not watching it, and I watched a little bit yesterday. I saw some pictures, and one of the things that really touched me, and it goes to your argument about the Hall of Very Good. I'm looking at the Hall of Famers sitting behind the players as they give their speeches, and all these great players are gone. There's no Willie Mays there. There's no Hank Aaron there. There's no Warren Spahn there. There's no Brooks Robinson there. All these guys are, I mean, there's some good players back there, but, I mean, Mike Piazza's sitting right behind the microphone, basically, and I don't think of the Hall of Fame and say, oh, yeah, Mike Piazza, great player, probably belongs there.
Yeah, well, I like making a case for players in any position. And my case for Mike Piazza would be this. If I said to you, Keith, Mike Piazza is the greatest hitting catcher in baseball history, you could argue that point. So right there, that makes a guy, a Hall of Fame. You can't condemn him being a Hall of Famer.
I think some guys get left out, and I don't know whether it's a political thing, not political in the way we.
Well, sometimes it's personality. I'll give you one player who hasn't even been considered because he has an abrasive personality, Gary Sheffield. If Gary Sheffield had a type of personality that came across, as humble, nice, he talked to the media, Sheffield, but if his image was much better than it's been, he'd be given more consideration. That shouldn't enter into it. So.
He's got 2 strikes. He gets lumped in with the steroid guys, too, which is maybe unfair, but all those guys, that's the problem. To me, that's why you got to let these guys in, because I don't know who did and who didn't do it. You got to let them in. While we're having this conversation, actually brings up another thought, because I talked about this a little bit yesterday. It didn't get a lot of traction, but I want your opinion. Salvatore Perez just passed George Brett to be the Kansas City Royals' all-time leading home run hitter. He's had a great career. I think he's a Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Salvador Perez gets, I don't have a vote for the Baseball Hall of Fame. I went for the Boxing Hall of Fame. But Salvador Perez absolutely gets my vote. One of the best catches I've ever seen all around. The problem is he's played in Kansas City, so he hasn't quite gotten the attention he should have. And I don't care what his numbers say at the end. I know how good he's been year after year after year.
Well, people are going to look at his average and whatnot, and I don't care about that.
I like the naked eye test. We use numbers too, and I understand baseball is about numbers, but I also like the naked eye test, like just knowing the type of player someone is.
Great defensive player too, by the way.
Yeah, and great leader.
Thank you.
Without hesitation, absolutely.
What else about? Oh, while we're talking, anything else about the Hall of Fame? Again, I agree. These 3 guys.
Carlos Beltran, I wanted to get to him.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hall of Fame, yeah, you can make a case, but when I look at Carlos Beltran, I don't look at him as being one of the, when he was playing in his prime, as one of the great impact players. He was an outstanding player. Don't get me wrong. Anyone would love to have a Carlos Beltran on their team. Boy, would I love to have Carlos Beltran in his prime now. But Carlos Beltran, comes under the list. He's between very good and great. That's why I rate him. It's somewhere in the middle between very good and great.
I agree, and I think very good is where he ends up, though. And it's probably not fair, but my lasting image of Carlos Beltran will always be the bat on his shoulder for the entire bat in 2007. With the game on the line.
2006, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't like to hold that
You don't
against.
take a swing. I don't know. It's just.
I don't like to hold it against them. Pitchers get frozen on a pitch.
I'm not listening.
I would let that go. I mean, and you talk about the image. You talk about Bill Buckner, 2,700 hits in his career.
It's not fair.
And what he remembered for, unfortunately.
That's the sad part about sports. We remember guys for one moment in time and not the overall.
One moment. And I'm going to tell you. The Yankees, for example, retired Paul O'Neill's number. If Paul O'Neill caught the last out of David Wells' perfect game, if Paul O'Neill dropped that ball for an error and Wells doesn't get the perfect game, does he have his number retired? What is Paul O'Neill going to be remembered as? Is he going to be remembered as the warrior? Or is he going to be remembered as the guy who flubbed David Wells' perfect game?
I don't think we would remember that. I don't think.
No, if he dropped the ball, you sure would remember that throughout the last inning. That would be a part of baseball history. Oh, absolutely.
I like Chris's reference here. We're talking about guys in the Hall of Fame that don't belong there. Fred McGriff doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. Fred McGriff was a really good player.
He is in the Hall of Fame. He finally got there.
Doesn't
he
belong.
Had 493 home runs, I believe. I never saw him as a great player, but
was he ever top 10 in the league?
No, but Fred McGriff year after year was a pretty good player.
Pretty good player. Thank you. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I put him in the category of the Johnny Damons. Another one, very good player. Yeah.
I agree 100%, Danny, but Jack's got a point. I mean, again, I don't know because he didn't drop the ball, so
he didn't drop. But if he dropped the ball, I know what he's recognized.
It's hard for me to say how I would react if he dropped that ball.
But it's what it is. Same thing with listen. Bill Buckner. Let's say he fielded the ball, stepped on first base.
That's in the World Series, Jack.
The game would have been tied up.
Correct.
They would have went in the extra innings, the Red Sox and the Mets. Okay? Regardless of what would have happened, or when the name Bill Buckner, what would it have evoked now? We would have thought, oh, he's a hell of a player, borderline Hall of Famer. We wouldn't have thought of the other factors.
I still think he was a hell of a player. John McNamara
was.
John McNamara is to blame for that play. Nobody else. He didn't take him out of the game like he had every other game. That's the thing nobody ever talks about. He'd replace Buckner in those situations every single game down the stretch and in the playoffs.
The problem was you can't let emotions.
He wanted him on the field when
he wanted Buckner to be on the field for the final out.
Well, he was.
But I'm going to tell you, when it was 4-4 and the game was tied, he could have sent a defensive replacement in for Buckner, but managers don't want to embarrass players and do it during an inning. But
can't do that. All right. Anyway, Jack, we had some boxing over the weekend. Anthony Joshua, who, everybody wants to see him in Fury fight, but I mean, it was a very
not everybody. I mean, but they're hyping it up. Well, Netflix bought the fight.
What else is out there? I mean,
yeah.
But Anthony Joshua, he gets knocked down twice in the first round yesterday. What's going on there?
Yeah, Christian Prenga, who we had on our show, Glove Fist, as a guest. And hopefully tonight, Prenga's manager, Keith Sullivan, is back in New York. He can come on the show for a little bit to tell us what happened in Saudi Arabia. He would bring Prenga on with him, but the problem is Prenga went back to Albania, whatever. So access to him would be hard right now. We'll have to wait till he gets back to New Jersey, whenever that might be.
Albania, Jack?
What?
There's no internet.
No, he's busy. The guy, a lot of emotional energy after this
I get
fight.
it. I get
We're
it.
not going to book him for glove fist. This isn't exactly the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, where oh, we got to book him, or that, why am I mentioning Johnny Carson? Half the viewers wouldn't have even heard of Johnny Carson.
Our viewers
So,
would.
well, I guess you and I are old school, but Pranga was a massive underdog. He was brought in to lose. He was a safe fight for Joshua. Joshua was going to knock him out quick. It was going to be a tune-up for Tyson Fury, build a fight up. Fury fought Friday night, actually, against a 46-year-old fighter, Maurice Wauk, who really looked bad, had nothing left. Fury won in 7 rounds. Fury has this show on Netflix that he wants to use the fight as episodes for that. That fight wasn't even telecast, the Fury fight, anywhere. We just see highlights of it. But Netflix has the rights to a Fury Joshua fight. And there's a problem involved because the fight is also to a degree contracted to the Zone DAZN. And the fight belongs in the UK. It's ridiculous that the fight wouldn't be in the UK. The fans in the UK have been asking for this darn fight for 10 years. Can you imagine, Keith, the Yankees and the Mets playing the World Series game in England? At a World Series, they both get to the World Series, but they're playing best 4 out of 7 in England. They're not playing it in New York.
It sounds ridiculous.
Do you know how outrageous that would be, Keith?
I do.
How ridiculously stupid that would be, but that's boxing. The fight might wind up in either Vegas or Madison Square Garden. They might put up more money, but you want to know something? At the end of the day, you know who controls the narrative, Keith? Both Joshua and Fury. You want to know why? Because they can insist the fights in England will take less money to have it in the UK. So I don't want to hear them say, oh, we do it for the fans, our loyal fans. They don't give a darn about the fans. If you're getting paid, hypothetically, Keith, $75 million to fight, okay, in the UK, but you can now make a 90 million, 95 million to fight in the United States. I understand if you're going for the extra money. I get that. But I also don't want to hear you talk about your fans because you really don't give a darn about your fans. You're making them travel. You're looking out for yourself and only yourself. And if I'm the people in England, I wouldn't travel to the fight. I absolutely wouldn't travel to the fight to the United States if it's held there. But we'll see. I have a feeling it is going to wind up in the UK when all is said and done, because it's so illogical if it doesn't. But Joshua, getting back to the fight, was knocked down twice in the opening round by Fury, escaped, and then not by Fury, by Pranga, and then in the second round, nailed Pranga, knocked him out. Pranga's stock went up. Joshua saved the Fury fight. So, and Pranga will figure he'll be in a, with a name heavyweight again at some time in the future.
When is this fight going to happen, theoretically, by the way?
Sometime this year. They're talking November, but the problem is the weather might be cold in England, too, to hold it outdoors in November, but we'll see.
Are you willing to make a pick in this fight that Rick is asking right now?
Yeah, I like Joshua in the fight. I know Fury's going to be favored. I actually like Joshua in the fight.
He's an imposing guy to look at, right? He never seems, when I watch him fight, it doesn't seem to come off, but he's an imposing guy just to look at from a physique standpoint.
Yeah. Fury's better technically. Fury's slowed down. He's still, really good at what he does, but he's, you can tell he's slowed down. And Fury will supply a big target for Joshua.
Yeah.
And I think Joshua does find his chin, at a certain point in the fight.
I might buy my first fight in like 25 years or 30 years.
Well, it's going to be on Netflix. You got Netflix.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. All right, Jack. Well, listen, it was a furious hour. We were kind of worried if we had enough stuff to talk about, but you've certainly fired me up, and we got.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, I don't think I moved you at all, Keith. I don't think
No,
I
you
moved
did
you.
not
You're
move
still
me.
dug in your positions, which is fine, which is good.
Remember, Jack, and you may not have heard me say this before, but I go by the old Billy Packer axiom: I'm sometimes wrong, but never in doubt. So
I'm not going to close. I'm not going to tell you I told you so when I'm proven right and you're wrong, except in the case of Trinidad
Oh my
Sandler.
God! I nearly got
That's
to the
all
show.
you're going to hear it endlessly about that. You won't hear the end of it, when it becomes a reality with him.
I almost made it through the show without Trinidad Chambliss. Guys, have a great Monday. We'll see you Friday. Bye-bye.